Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we're doing something a bit different, just focusing on one source. It's a review of that 1988 cult classic, Maniac Cop.
Right.
And our mission, really, is to unpack what this particular review found interesting, why it thinks the film still holds up.
What makes it tick, according to this perspective?
Exactly. So the review kicks things off with the core idea. Imagine Michael Myers, basically.
Yeah, that unstoppable force.
But wearing a police uniform, terrorizing New York, killing innocent people.
And really hitting the police department's reputation hard, eroding that trust.
Right.
And it's interesting, the review does touch on that, the subtext. What happens when authority becomes terror?
Sure, the potential for commentaries there.
But, and the review is quite clear on this, it says, look, this isn't primarily some heavy social critique.
Okay.
It's really a story about a vengeful killer. A murderer on a rampage, first and foremost.
So it sets expectations right away.
Exactly. You know what kind of movie you're essentially getting into based on this take.
Gotcha. So, yeah, we'll dig into how this review sees the plot setup, the characters it highlights.
The film style, its whole vibe.
And ultimately, what this reviewer thinks makes Maniac Cop stand out, why it has that cult following.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the review zooms in on the start. Late night. A waitress is brutally murdered.
Yeah, a really jarring opening.
And then the police grab a couple of suspects, and guess what?
What do they say?
They both claim the killer was a cop, a police officer.
Oof. And right there, the review says, that throws the whole department into chaos. Big red flags.
Exactly. And it highlights Lieutenant Frank McRae. Tom Atkins plays him.
Right, contrasting him with others in the department.
Yeah, because unlike some superiors who just dismiss it,
no way, couldn't be one of ours.
McRae actually takes it seriously. He thinks maybe this is possible.
While the higher-ups, as the review notes, are already worried about, well, damage control.
Keeping it quiet.
Trying to keep a lid on it as the body count starts to creep up. It adds that internal conflict,
Definitely. And what I found interesting in the review is how it brings in this other angle. Not just the official police stuff.
The domestic side.
Yeah. Ellen Forrest Victoria Catlin plays her. She starts suspecting her own husband, Jack.
And Jack is Bruce Campbell, which is, a big deal for fans.
Right. And the authorities actually try to pin it on Jack. They use her suspicion.
Leverage that doubt. But McRae
sticks to his guns, the review points out. He's convinced the real killer, the cop, is still out there.
It's quite a setup, juggling those threads. You've got the official investigation, the personal suspicion.
And this, relentless killer just operating in the shadows.
And how does a B-movie manage all that? Does it feel slow?
Well, the review credits the director, William Lustig. It paints Maniac Cop as this great popcorn-munching B-movie.
Embracing what it is.
Totally. It mixes the suspense with what the review calls inventive kills. It leans into the slasher side, the exploitation stuff.
Okay, so it delivers on the genre front.
But then, and this is where it gets interesting, the review suggests it finds, and I quote, a surprising amount of heart.
Heart. In Maniac Cop. How?
When it explores the killer's backstory. That's what the review claims.
Okay, intriguing.
And speaking of surprising things, the review really makes a point about the cast. You mentioned Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, big name even then, post-Evil Dead.
And the review notes this was one of his first big roles without Sam Raimi directing.
Oh, right. Though Raimi apparently has a little cameo.
He does. The review mentions that. And apparently Campbell himself wasn't, thrilled with the production.
You hear stories like that.
But the review says, hey, he still gives a solid performance, and you even get Richard Roundtree.
Shaft himself. Playing the mayor, no less.
Quite the lineup for a B-movie slasher.
Definitely adds some weight. And what about the killer himself? Robert Zedar.
Yes. The review talks about his face, his presence.
That distinctive look.
Exactly. Even in shadow, the review says, his features are so unique you instantly recognize him. No need for tons of makeup.
He just looks imposing, indestructible. Embodies that idea the review mentioned earlier.
Yeah, just by his physical presence. But, maybe the most compelling part of this review, for me anyway,
Go on.
was its focus on the score. Jay Chataway's music.
Oh, the music's memorable. Very 80s.
Totally. The review calls it delightfully 80s synths, violent strings, the works.
Standard for the era, but effective.
But the reviewer singles out one specific thing, this melancholic whistling that plays during flashbacks.
Ah, yes, that whistling theme. It's quite haunting.
And that's the key point the reviewer makes. This music creates this stark contrast, almost unsettling.
Between the tune and the brutal violence happening.
Exactly. The review argues it adds this unexpected layer of poignancy.
Poignancy. For the Maniac Cop.
Think about it. It's a slasher film killer, right?
Yeah.
But the reviewer says it's actually hard not to sympathize with his plight.
Wow. And credits the score for a big part of that?
A significant part, yeah. The score and the emotional weight it carries in those specific moments.
That's quite a claim for a B-movie slasher. Eliciting sympathy for the villain.
That's the kind of unexpected depth this review is highlighting. And it's not just the score.
What else?
Larry Cohen's script, yeah. The review praises it, says it has a depth that lifts Maniac Cop above other slashers of the time.
How so?
The characters are apparently sketched just well enough that you actually, care what happens.
You're invested, even a little.
And the origin story they give the killer, rather than just being filler, the review says it adds meaningful context. It doesn't slow things down.
So it manages that balance. The review talks about light on gore, but heavy on violence.
Exactly. You get the intense moments, the slasher stuff.
But with a bit more substance underneath, thanks to the script and score. Something more to chew on.
Right. So, okay, let's pull back a bit. We've looked at what this review highlights. The setup, the cast, Zedar's presence, the script, the score.
Those unexpected layers.
So what's the bottom line, according to this source? Why does Maniac Cop get that cult status?
Well, the review's conclusion really brings it together. It says it's the combination.
Not just one thing.
No, it's the inventive kills, the suspense, absolutely. Delivers the genre goods.
But also
that unexpected poignancy we talked about. From the backstory, from that whistling score.
A sympathy element.
Yeah, it gives you the thrills you came for, but it weaves in enough character, enough thematic texture that it sticks with you. It's memorable.
And looking at reviews like this, it helps you appreciate how even films that are, firmly B movies.
Yeah, no pretensions there.
They can still blend those genre thrills with, craft. Good characters, interesting thematic touches.
It shows how specific creative choices like that score can really elevate something, make it last.
Make it more than just the sum of its parts.
Definitely. The review even mentions the remake that's been rumored for ages, Nicholas Winding Refn's name attached.
Oh, yeah, that comes up now and then.
And the reviewer kind of speculates, that if it happened, it'd probably be very different, maybe more highbrow.
Aiming for something else entirely.
Right. But the review sort of reminds us, hey, remember the original 1988 film and what it achieved on its own terms?
Which leads us to a final thought, really. Pulling directly from that fascinating point the review made about sympathy.
Mm-hmm. The conflict it creates.
Yeah. The film uses that melancholic score, the backstory, and it manages to make you feel, maybe not for the killer, but you understand the tragedy a bit.
Even while you're horrified by the violence.
Exactly. So what does that tell you about storytelling, about filmmaking?
That a B-movie slasher can pull off that kind of complex reaction.
Yeah. Making you feel horror and maybe a tiny bit of pathos at the same time. It just shows how powerful certain choices can be, how they shape your response in ways you don't always expect.
Really makes you think about how films work on you, doesn't it? Even the ones you might initially dismiss.